Manchester City have won 9 major titles under Pep Guardiola, but success in Europe have eluded them. Guardiola himself said that despite a trophy-laden career in England, it's the performance in the Champions League that he's going to be judged upon. Hello and welcome. You have tuned into WION Sports Extra. I am Nikhil Mathur and I'm joined by my editor Digvijay Singh Deo and by my colleague Vidur Kathuria. Manchester City's quest for the Holy Grail is the topic of discussion for this live. Please send in your views. So they will welcome RB Leipzig in the second leg of the round of 16 clash. What's your take on that? Like, will they sail through?
Well, Manchester City have to sail through, right? If they're playing a home game at the Etihad, the last time these two teams played at home, they scored 6 goals.
Yeah.
So I think they will go through this. But the problem with City has never been getting through the initial rounds. It's always those crunch games, the one-off game or the two-leg games which come up later, the quarters, semis and the final. And as you said, and I think with every year that passes, you sort of know that you're coming towards the end of the Guardiola reign. He's not going to be there forever. Similar to what we know with Jurgen Klopp. He's not going to be there all the time. He's not going to be there like, say, Sir Alex Ferguson or an Arsene Wenger who was at the club for more than sort of 15, 20 years. So it's an important question which fans want to know, that how is it that a team which dominates the way it is, and last year there was absolutely no doubt in the minds of everyone who were following football that City and Liverpool had sort of raised the bar across Europe, and both teams did not end up winning the Champions League. So is the Champions League that beast which Guardiola has not been able to sort of untangle that puzzle? I think they had no business losing that game against Chelsea a couple of years ago. I think that game, he's always been accused of sort of tinkering too much and sort of overthinking stuff. You look at what Real Madrid did against Liverpool. Liverpool was the form team. Guess who won? They played the way they play. They waited for that one chance. They had a goalkeeper who had a great game, kept Liverpool out, and when they got their chance, they scored. I think ultimately, yes, I feel that Guardiola knows that unless he wins that Champions League, for whatever you win, but if all that sustained success can't deliver a Champions League, then what's the difference between what he is doing or what is happening in PSG, which is another sort of mega rich club who wants the Champions League bigger than anything else. I mean, PSG, you would think, have gone all in with the superstars, the Neymars of the world, then the Mbappe signing happened, then Messi happened, and they still haven't won.
Yeah. So City are on a 23-match unbeaten streak at home
in the Champions League. Yes.
But like before the in the press conference, Guardiola still criticized Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland. He's expecting more from them. What's your take on that?
I think it's one of Guardiola's mind games as he plays with his players. De Bruyne and Haaland know what they mean to the squad, and Guardiola has praised them in the past. Not even praised them, he has called De Bruyne one of the best players in the world repeatedly, he is.
What they bring to the squad.
Yeah.
That's the right word.
Yeah. So exactly. And De Bruyne, for example, he has he's been the best player at Manchester City since Guardiola took over.
He's been the best player in the Premier League, without a doubt. Consistently the best player.
For the last 5-6 years, in terms of consistency, in terms of his just efficiency, and of course they have won trophies, and that has to count for something. But coming back to the Guardiola question, I think he was brought in to Manchester City to deliver the Champions League.
Yes, because they'd already won the title under Mancini, they'd won the title against Pellegrini. Yes.
So they had already won. Domestic success was already there. So, and just like PSG, it is the Champions League that the club and the owners are desperate for. If he does not win the Champions League with Manchester City, his tenure will not be seen as a complete success. Not at all.
Just to butt in here, for all that they have won and the money that has been spent, had it not been Pep Guardiola, do you think any other manager would have survived so long at City without winning the Champions League?
Probably not. The thing is that he has delivered on the domestic front. We sort of take that for granted.
Yes.
If you look at what he's achieved with this Man City team in terms of what he's done with the Premier League, no one has probably you would say Alex Ferguson, Manchester United under Alex Ferguson had that sort of dominance. But City have won the Premier League in 4 out of the last 5 seasons. And not just that, he has won multiple trophies as well. I remember a few years back they won the domestic treble, the Premier League, the EFL Cup, the FA Cup. It was the first time it had been done.
But is it, I think, one second, Nikhil. The thing also is that Guardiola has taken these competitions seriously. I think Klopp never took these competitions seriously outside of the Champions League and the Premier League. And last year, Liverpool decided to go for it because the questions were asked that for all that Klopp has achieved at Liverpool, where are the trophies? It was just one Champions League and there was just one Premier League.
Yeah.
But ultimately, talking to somebody here who supports Manchester United, that's what Liverpool fans always said, right? That you may have, for a Manchester United under Ferguson, that you may have won so many Premier League titles and sort of, what is that famous phrase? You've kicked them off the perch.
Yeah. Knock them off
the perch. But how many Champions League titles do Liverpool have and how many do Manchester United have? I think ultimately it boils down to that. Yeah. And that's why Real Madrid are where they are. Yeah. That irrespective of, they may not, there was a time when they were not winning the La Liga and it was always the Barcelona domination, especially the MNS and even the Guardiola time. Yeah. But Real were always sort of winning that Champions League. They won what? 3 in a row under Zidane?
Yeah.
Just one of them, I think, was also came with a Spanish League title.
Yeah.
And Atletico won.
Yes, that's right. So, and no team had won even back-to-back Champions League titles till Real Madrid did. Just one thing, I think when you talk about the great teams of, say, the 21st century, the great European teams, Manchester City are one of the great. Guardiola has created one of the best teams we have seen in Premier League history, without a doubt.
Yeah. No, this is the greatest football team in Europe in the last 13 years, barring that perhaps one or two seasons where the MNS happened.
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
That is a different argument.
BBC
You could say
also,
even Real Madrid, Barcelona.
Benzema, Ronaldo.
That's another discussion to be had. But I think when you think about the great sides of the 21st century of European football, as we just mentioned, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich,
yes,
all of them, they won the Champions League. Manchester City have not won the Champions League and they cannot be considered. Pep Guardiola also has not won the Champions League since he did at Barcelona.
And if he had a decent squad at Bayern Munich, he couldn't.
No, he had a very good squad.
And
we
again,
thought they were going to win it that year.
Yeah, of course.
They were destroyed. 7-0, what was it? Across 2 legs.
Barcelona by MNS.
Yes.
So we have some questions. Roberto Rui says that, basically a comment, he's saying that we will win today. We are Manchester City.
Of course you'll win today. Every City fan should think they should win. But you say that you think that Leipzig are going to give them a tough fight.
Yeah, because they're a team.
They're no pushovers, Leipzig. They have a talented squad and they have an experienced squad as well, and they have had reasonable success in the Champions League. A few years back they reached the semi-finals, which is great for a club that was created in 2009. RB Leipzig, obviously there is the controversy about the money that has been pumped in and the structure of the club. That is also another conversation to be had. But they have the likes of Christopher Nkunku, who will probably be at Chelsea. Guardiola, the Croatian defender, he scored in the first leg. He's hot property right now. Again, he could come to a big club in the summer. Then they have Dani Olmo, who's a Spanish international. Yes. He features in the starting 11 of six. So they have, players who can really trouble Manchester City, as we saw in the first leg. In the second half, they gave a very good account of themselves. So there are no guarantees in the Champions League, and no one knows that better than Manchester City.
Yes.
So I mean, it could be a very good game.
Yeah, but that could be a good game. So
I think more questions.
More questions?
So,
Just one? More questions. Okay, you've got a list today. Streamline it.
Yeah. So just one question I have about Guardiola. Let's speak about Guardiola. Does he need, not for Manchester City, does Guardiola himself need to win that Champions League to sort of cement his legacy as one of the best managers of the modern era? Because he has not won it since his time at Barcelona.
He's still one of the best managers because of
without
what
a doubt. Yeah.
of what he did. But you need to deliver in Europe with the squad that he had at Bayern Munich and even at City. Like that's the expectations. Like you need to align with the expectations of the club. Like PSG has also won League One a lot of times, but their main aim is to win the Champions League. And I think at City as well, they want to win the Champions League. Now, in order to be, one of the best clubs, you need to win the Champions League.
Nikhil, in the last 5 years, let's look at the last 5 years. Let's look at who won the Champions League. Obviously, there was the Real years. Great team. Did the City team or the current City team, was that team better than that Real team? If not, a big gap, I would think yes. Man for man, position for position, this City team had better players.
Last season.
Definitely. This City team had better players than Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, which won the Champions League.
Yes.
Man to man, definitely. The depth and all that.
Chelsea, who they lost to, there was no way that Chelsea team
The
sort of
final.
in the final.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, even Real Madrid last year, and we spoke about it. Real Madrid last year, comparing them to the season Liverpool had, Liverpool went in as favourites. But they still won. So that's why I think people will say Guardiola, great manager. 20 years from now, we spoke last time about all these players leaving Barcelona. Dani Alves is a bit of a trouble right now, and the others, you look at 37 trophies, 38 trophies. That's a given with Guardiola. But the man that he is, the winner that he is, he will consider his career a failure. And I don't know the man, but I'm just what we see, the confidence that comes across from the person, and the humility, even the way he sort of responded to Steven Gerrard after that so-called insult. It takes a brave man. I would never think that Jose Mourinho would do that. But to start a press conference by saying, I said, I'm sorry, I've apologized in private, but I'm happy to say it
in
publicly as
because
well.
I made that comment in public.
Yes. So I think Guardiola himself knows, and I think that desperation sort of shows through in all these tinkering and all that changes that he tries to make. You look at the last game that they played. The players on the bench would have walked into any first 11 anywhere in the world.
They can feel two playing 11s, Manchester City. But just one point that I want to make is, you said about the squad, how good are they? So there's Real Madrid who has a good squad and they keeps on winning Champions League. And then there's Chelsea also, because both the titles that they won, they didn't have the best of the squads, but they still won it. So is there something that, you need to do differently in Champions League, or it's just...
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Winning a Champions League is very different from winning a league title.
Yeah.
A league title is over 38 weeks. You can have patches of brilliance, you can have an occasional sort of dip in form, and you can still go on and win the league. I think with the Champions League, because the quality of the teams is so good, you cannot compare, say, a Southampton, with all due respect, Southampton or a Bournemouth or even a Fulham, to the Real Madrids, the sort of the Bayern Munichs, the way Benfica are playing, the way Napoli is playing. I think all we need to discuss also is how this is one of the most open Champions Leagues of all time. Barcelona, the team leading, are not there anymore. PSG, the team leading France, are not there. In terms of sheer form, I think the best team out there is Napoli.
Yeah.
You won't consider them favourites, especially at this moment. It's a very open Champions League.
Premier League leaders are not there.
Yeah. Liverpool are almost all but out, unless they've conjured up a great night at Real at Santiago Bernabeu, which is unlikely. But I think with the backs to the wall, you never know.
I think...
so this is City's best opportunity to win the Champions League.
Yeah. I think also when it comes to City and the Champions League, they have had... because they're not historically like Liverpool or Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. Historically, they're not like a huge European club, because they've made their debut in the Champions League,
2011?
Yeah, something like that. And initially, in fact,
the fans have also not embraced the Champions League.
That's a very good point.
The fact that they boo the Champions League.
Yes, because they were banned initially for the Champions League, and of course that was overturned. So the fans have had a weird relationship with the Champions League. And when we've spoken about this before, when it comes to the Champions League, those nights, there is this sort of intangible atmosphere feeling that is there in these big stadiums, say Ajax,
Anfield, Santiago Bernabeu,
which just
Bayern,
takes you through.
Juventus.
There's something magical about those Champions League nights, which obviously you don't feel at the Etihad Stadium. So there's like that European tradition is not there.
And can I throw a
Manchester City.
curveball?
Yeah.
throwing a curveball to the both of you. The comments that he made yesterday, anything to do with that thing hanging over the club's head? He said he's going to walk if those allegations are true, and the club lied to him.
That happens.
It happens. Sorry for that. That if those allegations are true, this could be his last season.
Yeah.
Because if he said he's going to walk, he will walk. There's no way he's going to stay if they've lied to him.
But
What do you
again,
think? What do you think?
but again, he said that he
Is that a
believes.
sense of sort of crystal ball, sort of gazing?
I think he will, if he has said that, and if the allegations are proven true. But that's also a long shot. The Premier League, in the statement that they put out, they haven't really sort of handed them specific charges. So it's a long shot. But I think he believes.
Yeah, because after that also the press conference he said, he believed whatever City has done, and he doesn't think that they have lied to him in the entire process.
Yeah,
So-
I think it'll be it'll be an extreme step if he does do that. But I think this will anyway take a very, very,
Very
long
long
time.
Yeah, there'll be obviously a challenge to CAS and all that. Which I think he started 2008, right? 15 years, 16 years. But we're all in agreement that his CV will not be complete till he wins the Champions League with Man City. He may go on and do it with anyone else, but for Man City and what they've achieved, in agreement on that, right? All three of us.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's coming up? 6:30.
So Barcelona may lose Gavi on a free transfer in the next transfer window. So, and why? Please tune into WION Sports at 6:30 p.m. to know the entire story. Other than that,
We have to pay tribute to one of the great athletes of all time. There are many sportspersons who go on and achieve dominance in their respective disciplines. Talk of an Usain Bolt, you talk of Roger Federer, but there are very few who define a sport. So you're talking about, even today after all these years, the late Muhammad Ali, you talk about him, boxing comes to your mind. You talk about gymnastics, it's Nadia Comaneci. And then you have Dick Fosbury, who passed away on Sunday in the United States. And Dick Fosbury was a high jumper who revolutionized high jump. Earlier, if you go and look up footage on YouTube, the high jump used to be like a hurdle. You used to go and you used to jump over it and take your legs over the bar. Dick Fosbury was the person who sort of started this backflip, which is everyone now follows it. Every Olympic champion since 1976 has followed what is called the Fosbury flop. So a giant of world athletics, a legend, as Michael Johnson said, that the legend word is used too often these days, but a true legend who defined a sport and a discipline. Absolutely. So we'll pay tribute to him as well. There is obviously a lot of tennis action from Indian Wells. There's some Masters on.
Yes, the top seeds in the men's and women's draw, Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Swiatek, have reached the round of 16. And there's also another Champions League match tonight, Porto versus Inter. Inter have a 1-0 lead, and they're actually looking to get to the Champions League quarters for the first time since 2011. So yeah.
When they were defending.
Yes.
And they beat Bayern in a repeat of that final in
Yes,
the second round.
they were defending champions that season. Yes.
so yeah, that and much more on our show at 6:30 p.m. IST. Also, do write to us on WION Sports Facebook page and Twitter on the topic that you want to see us discussing today or day after. We'll definitely consider it. Till then, bye bye.